Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee and have real conversations on faith, culture, and society. This is Mark Hyde.
And Chris Fuller.
And on today's episode of Real Talk Christian, we are sitting down with a missionary kid turned missionary to hear what it's like to be on the foreign field leading people to Jesus. Hey, Fuller, you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. Fuller, welcome
What's
back, my
going on,
friend.
Mark?
Dude, we're on video again.
Again. Today is our first guest with us doing video. I mean, I guess we did the Dudes and Dads podcast, but this is the
that
first
was
time
their
she's done
video.
RTC, like just our video with a guest.
That's it.
It's
So
gonna
if
be
you're
awesome.
watching on YouTube or watching on Facebook later and you see a random dude on the screen, just ignore him right now. Just
Yeah,
ignore
he's
him.
not there.
He's not there. He doesn't
If
exist
he's
yet.
not talking, you can't see him.
Go away, Joe. But no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, we are back, dude. So Fuller, how you been, man?
Been good, man. Been living the dream as best I can in quarantine.
Okay, so my old mentor, our old worship pastor, every time he said, hey, Jack, well, his name was Jonathan Eckberg, so I called him Jeckberg because that made the most sense. I said,
Okay.
hey, Jeckberg, how you doing, bro? He goes, living the dream, man. I'm like, no, you're not. You can't be living the dream every single day. But can you?
Look. When you love Jesus, it is the dream every single day, bro. Come on now.
Did you just Jesus juke me?
I did, man.
You just John A. Cove Jesus juked me. I don't know how I feel about this, bro.
Always, man. Yeah, I'm just saying, living the dream, bro.
See, it's
My
like
savior.
there's literally no response to that.
Nope,
There's
there
nothing
isn't.
because you can't be like,
See?
no, you're not living the dream. Because yeah,
Never
okay,
mind, you are living
fine.
the dream.
Okay, you are
Okay.
living the dream. Doesn't always feel like. I mean, nightmares, I guess, are dreams too. But
That's true.
that was you when you were actually. That's you when you actually had coronavirus.
I don't know if I had it though. I never got.
You don't know if you
tested.
had that coronavirus.
But you know what? I still podcasted even through it. I persevered through it all. I'm
And
just
we
saying,
are going to
for our listeners.
We are going to throw away that microphone by the end of this.
No, I've already Lysoled it like
Oh, have you?
30 times. Oh yeah, dude.
I love
took
it.
I took the pop filter off and like sprayed it with Lysol. Yeah, it's decontaminated. It's all good.
So you sprayed your mic with coronavirus to kill the coronavirus.
Exactly.
See,
It's fighting fire with fire, man.
See, I'm about as millennial as it comes, dude. You know, I got my thieves. I got my diffuser going over here.
That's
you know.
Generation Z, bro. Actually, I can't say that
That's
anymore.
millennial, bro.
Because Janelle and I are like looking to get into the thieves thing. We've been talking to Nicole Hobble about it and all that. So, yeah, I'm jumping on the bandwagon
Drink
here.
the Kool-Aid.
Thank you, Miss Nicole.
Thank you, Miss Nicole Hobbled. But okay, so I've been seeing a lot of stuff lately on Facebook. Wow, I almost sound like an old person there. On Facebook or Instagram.
On that face app there.
On that Snapgram and that Instabook.
The face space and
Hey, Mark, can you go talk to the Google for me? No, I can't, Mom. That's not how the Google works.
where is
Mom
Siri
did not
coming
say
from?
that. But anywho, I've been seeing all this stuff about like, you know, making fun of millennials and this and that. And I'm like, guys, millennials have mortgages, okay? Like, we're not just sitting at home in high school. We got mortgages and kids, okay?
Yeah.
We're going to start a trend. Hashtag millennials have mortgages. So we're going to
Hashtag.
start.
Oh man, hit the mic there. Hashtag.
I act like a Gen Z. I mean, but it...
you work with Gen Z all the time. So.
I do, and it's like I'm always like doing stuff with them or texting them or whatnot. So like I actually learned a new word. I learned a new thing. Like I said a phrase, and all of a sudden, like Eli Smith, this was you, bro. I didn't know what happened. He just sent me back a picture of a baseball cap.
Of the WWJDH.
No. Like the emoji. Like I said something.
Oh, gotcha.
Because apparently, like we played Zoom Bingo with the kids. No, not Zoom Bingo. We played Zoom Scavenger Hunt, where I would say something, they have to go find it in their house and bring it back to the camera in less than 20 seconds. That was amazing.
Nice.
Kids were jacking their parents' phone chargers and jacking TV remotes. And going through the, like rummage, like I made them find bottles of ketchup in their fridge, so they were like destroying things. It was wonderful. One kid stubbed his toe really bad. It was legit, dude.
Nice,
Student ministry
nice,
at its
very
finest.
nice.
But anywho, so one of them said that I cheated them out of the win, and I'm like, no, I didn't. Y'all were just lazy. And Eli sent a picture back of a cap emoji, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what? And he goes, bro, you capped them, and I'm like, talk to me like I'm a kid. And they explained it. I'm like, no, like I'm 3.
Like back in our day, cap means you shot somebody.
That's what I said. I'm like, no, you bust a cap at somebody. That ain't good.
Right.
But apparently, I was lying. I'm like, no, guys, you're tripping. Like, get the lingo right.
Like, remember when I was in high school and you were like middle school and we were like, bro, that's fire, dude. That's fire.
Yeah,
like,
now.
Cool.
See, I actually never said that's fire. Remember, you're older than me.
Really? Oh, that's why I said high school. You were like middle school, so.
Yeah, we were saying legit. I think that's what we were mainly saying.
Legit.
We were saying legit. Like, that was it.
That's when your mom was big. Remember your mom?
Oh, dude, your mom was so fast. She sat on a rainbow and Skittles popped out.
Right. That's what your mom said.
Mama's so fast. She stepped on the scale and it said to be continued.
Your mama's so fast. It took me 3 days to wrap my arms around her. Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. I learned another word the other day too. It's called simping. 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 And apparently, like, I had to Google it because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what? And I'm trying to see if I can find it because this text thread is absolutely insane. It's one of my ones with the teenagers. But
I'm looking for that. I didn't know what the GOAT was until I learned it from you. Like, what's the GOAT? And then you're like, greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time, bro.
All
right. This is a Gen Z term. We're gonna Urban Dictionary it because that's the place for all things. There's also youth splaining. That's apparently a website. But simping is when you infatuate over women, allowing them to take control of your mind and cause you to do things for them you would not normally do. Here's the example. I have to log off the game, guys. I want to see what Ann is doing right now. And then the boys, BOIS, the boys say, you're simping, bro. I'm done. I don't even know.
Back in my day, we had corded telephones.
And if you were one of them rich folks, you had one of them wireless ones.
I remember the first time we got the fax machine. I was like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. Or the first time we got like AOL. America Online. I'm just saying. Like,
yeah,
that was legit back in the day.
Yeah, you would get kicked off a phone call when your sister tried to hop onto AOL to update her MySpace.
I know the Gen Zers won't understand, but do you remember the noise that it used to make when it was dialing up? Like when it was dial-up?
It was awful.
it was
pure awful. Or the disc, like the Netgear or whatever, the Netscape or.
Right.
Oh my goodness, that was like an eternity ago, though, bro.
It was a while ago.
it was like definitely a while ago.
If I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to remember. I think we got internet when I was like 10 or 11, so that would have been 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
That's
all your
hilarious.
youth kids weren't even alive yet.
Nope.
That's crazy to think about.
Up until I got rid of that red CRV, my car was older than half my student ministry. Actually, I'm going to rephrase that. It was older than, I think, everyone in my student ministry almost.
Well, my truck's a 2005, so I think it's older than most of your.
It's older than all my junior hires and freshmen.
Right. Jeez.
I got an 09, I think, is what I got. But either way, dude. So,
anyways,
let me ask you, Fuller, what are you drinking tonight, bro?
Dude, I have a lot of it, so I am drinking the Mexican High grown at the elevation of 4,500 feet above sea level. It's got nice smooth tones with a slight tone of toffee in it. So it's really good.
I'm drinking a Dunkin' Donuts decaf, so I got nothing to talk about.
It's the good RTC full city roast. Just beautiful. Just beautiful.
Well, to at least give myself some credit, last episode, I'm going to tell this for Joe and all the other listeners, I made myself a Cafe Breve here at the house.
Hey, you can't half refer back to last episode, bro.
I am. Half and half with some espresso. Woo! It was good. Better than Starbucks. But either way, dude, so we got a guest on tonight, so I don't want to keep him waiting.
Wait. Did we have any reviews or comments? No. Come on, bro. Brah. Come on.
Nope.
No, none
Nothing.
Again?
Nothing.
Our viewers and listeners are letting us down. What's up? Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email us at Real Talk Christian Podcast at gmail.com. Leave us a review, write us a comment, send us a message. Come on, people. All right, I'm done.
That was wonderful radio right there.
Yeah.
You almost went Rush Limbaugh on all of us, man. You're starting to get it. You're starting to get that little like rumble in his throat.
Getting that Rush voice going on. Oh, the government.
I can't stand it, dude.
That sounded more like Bernie Sanders. Oh, the government was coming down and everything's free. Everything's free. Sorry. Anyways, he's out of the race now.
Jesus' grace is free. But anywho, so, we talk about this a lot, but we've had a lot of episodes where it's not just you and me talking, but we've had other guests on the show with us. Let's see
if we can name all the guests without looking at the show notes. All right. So we had Brandon Soche.
Multiple times. We had him for the 2-parter with the music of church music and whatnot, and then the Halloween episode.
Yep. And then we had all the teens, the high school and college teens.
Yep. We had 2 college kids and 2 high schoolers.
We had 3 episodes of Paul Lundgren.
Yep.
We had Sarah Nass.
Yep.
We had Beth.
Yep. What's
John
your last
Tibbs.
name? No, what's your last name?
I can't remember. I'm horrible with last names. I could go look back through the show notes.
Beth Schneider. There you go. Schneider.
John Tibbs.
Yep.
And tonight is our special guest. Or they're all special to us, but special
tonight.
That this guest that we have on today is doing the Lord's work.
He is.
The Lord's, and he needs your support. So you need to help him get the support.
Should I just mute you now?
No. All right, anyways, I'll let you introduce our guest
Joe,
today.
what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So for those out there, like, we see your last name, like,
how do you pronounce it though?
Frerichs.
What? Say that again.
Frerichs. Or Frerichs in Spanish.
Frerichs. That's easier to say.
No, it's not.
In English, it's supposed to be Frerichs.
Frerichs.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I like it.
But either way,
it's
so
unique.
we have Joseph. I'm gonna say as white as I can. We got Joseph Frerichs on the podcast tonight. So, Fuller, you've never met Joe, but you've heard me talk a lot about him.
Let's see. I've met him maybe 15 minutes ago. So, Joe, it's nice to meet you. Glad to have you on.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
I love it. Well, so if some of you guys don't know this, but I'm old, I'm fragile, but I still try to get out and play soccer when I can. So I started playing at a open gym rec league that a mutual friend of Joseph and mine puts on at their church, First Baptist Mishawaka. Will Suarez, which I don't know if Will listens to the podcast. If he doesn't, he probably should. But but so Will kind of got me and Joseph connected, and then the more and more we talked, the more and more like weird common backgrounds we got. Like I went to Northland, and Joseph went to our rival school, Faith Baptist Bible College down there in Iowa. Our paths didn't cross on the soccer field because I redshirted and then decided to get a job, and then you kept playing. But either way, Joe. So I've known Joe for what, maybe like 3 months now, 4 months, something like that.
Something like that. I think it was either November or December when we started the Impact Soccer.
That's almost been 5 months ago then.
Yeah. I mean, there's been like 2 months where I was gone, and then
and I disappeared for a bit, and then COVID.
Yeah.
I love it.
Something like that.
I love it though, dude. But since Fuller doesn't know any of this, it's gonna be all fresh for Fuller. Just so Fuller's gonna be like a listener on the podcast, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. But I'm
gonna ask the questions that you forgot to write down to ask. Just saying.
I wrote down 10 questions, bro.
I'm gonna have 11.
There you go.
But anywho, Joe. Anywho, man. So Joe, why don't you introduce yourself to Fuller and the podcast listeners too?
Okay. Well, I mean, my name is Joseph Frerichs. I grew up as an MK. So my parents...
Which MK stands for missionary kid, in case anybody's wondering.
Yes. Sorry.
It's a little Christianese.
Yeah.
We have an MK who listens from South Africa. That's a fun fact.
That's awesome. So I grew up as a missionary kid in Lima, Peru. My parents moved down south when I was 4. And we moved to Costa Rica for a year, and then we moved to Peru when I was 5. And so basically the majority of my life I spent growing up in Lima, Peru. So I grew up there playing soccer and sharing the gospel, and then came back to the States to study. And I studied biblical counseling at Faith Baptist Bible College. And now my wife and I are working towards going back to Peru as missionaries, using soccer as our main form of outreach.
So is it just you and your wife then? Do you have any kids?
No, we have 1 2-year-old, one little girl.
Little girl.
So she's a ton of fun.
I'll say she's talking now then, right?
Yes, she is talking like crazy, starting to put sentences together, and oh my word, it's so much fun.
So how many questions does she ask you a day?
That's exactly what I was just going to ask.
Not a ton of questions. It's more just like short statements. She hasn't gotten to like full long sentences yet. So it's more putting 2, 3, 4 words together.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Wait till they start hitting like age of 3 and they just talk, right?
And then they don't stop.
Right, Mark? Then it's question after question like, Daddy, why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? Why is mommy wearing that shirt? I mean,
what happens at your guys' household, bro?
What's that?
What happens at your guys' household?
They're just random questions.
See, Elliot doesn't ask too many random questions, man. Like he asked a lot, but not like my nephew did.
Oh yeah, see, we get random questions every day, all day long.
Yeah, you got two kids feeding off each other too.
Daddy, yes. Daddy, yes. Daddy. Yes, it's like
just ask me the question.
Yeah.
So, no, anyways. I love it. So Joseph, I gotta ask, dude, because I call you Joe on the soccer field. Do you go by Joe, or does that actually drive you nuts?
Joe or Joseph's fine.
Okay, cool. Because I hate like the full name.
What about Joey?
Joey.
Yeah, no.
What is this, friends?
Okay, no Joey.
No Joey.
You know, that's why I always asked. I asked Tibbs the same question.
You did ask Tibbs the same question.
Joe and Joseph are fine.
Joe and Joseph are fine. But so Joe, you grew up as a missionary kid, and then you came back to the States, and you want to go back. And you said using soccer.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work, dude?
So Peru, like most South American countries, is a country that kind of lives and breathes soccer. It's a huge part of everyday life. It's a huge part of their culture, and it's an amazing outreach tool that we have recently started to use. And so our goal is to kind of go down and partner with local churches and start sports ministries in each of those churches so that we can reach their communities. And our goal is to reach their communities, bring people in, share the gospel with them, and connect them to those churches so that they can continue to grow and churches can grow on top of that. And then in turn, be able to continue spreading and sharing more and starting more and more churches. So that's kind of like very, very summed up. But
so soccer is a bridge to get people in to hear the gospel.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It's the becoming a Roman to win a Roman.
Mm-hmm. It's the tool that we're using to share the gospel with as many people as we can, because so many people love and adore it. You know, we can just in December, I was in Peru and we had ministries there, and we posted flyers and we shared stuff, and we had 55 guys that would never have come to our church show up just because of that. 55 and we were able to share the gospel with them and then connect them to the church as well.
All right. So I'm obviously a bigger guy, but I believe it or not, I used to be skinny and play soccer myself. How good are you? Hey,
Joe, he was
soccer?
a PCC guy. Fuller was a PCC guy.
I was. So how good are you at soccer, and what position is your favorite position?
Don't you lie, Joseph. Don't you lie. That was not the time to be humble, bro.
I mean, you can share if you want. When I was 14, I joined a club team called San Martin, which was the youth division of a professional club. And so pretty much my whole life, I was pursuing the idea or goal of playing professional soccer. And so up until I was 17, that was where my heart really was. That's what I was pursuing. And that kind of goes into my whole call to be a missionary using sports. But my whole life, I grew up wanting to play professional. And so when I was 18 years old, I was playing with the reserve team. So I'd play practice with the professional guys, and I broke my ankle. And so I was out for 6 months. And it was during that time that I read Pastor Richard Wombrand's book, Tortured for Christ, which I recommend to everyone. If you have time during this quarantine, go to Amazon and try to get it. It's like $7. And
say that book again real quick, Joe. I'm going to write that down.
Tortured for Christ by Pastor Richard Wombrand. His last name has a a different spelling, but I can send you a picture of it.
No, I'll find it.
Picture and we'll put it in the
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
WURM brand. I think.
Torture for Christ by Richard. We'll just do that by Richard.
Yeah, there we go.
By Richard. But so you read that book while your ankle was broken and you were recovering.
Yeah, and that, it talked about suffering for Christ and living for Christ and being fully focused on giving him the glory and using your entire life to glorify God. And, I was there, I sat back and I was like, I am a missionary kid that, I loved my life and there's nothing wrong with loving your life. But at the same time, I was like, am I really living my life fully for Christ? Am I doing everything I can to follow Christ? Am I following his calling in my life, or am I following my desire? And so that was where I began to pray. I was like, God, use me how you want to use me, and not how I want to go or what I want to do. And so it was kind of through that. And then, God used a ton of different events in the following months to really point me towards ministry, and specifically towards sports ministry.
Wow.
And then while you were here, so you played soccer at Faith, and I know you were recruited to play for some professional clubs here in the States.
No, I had one tryout with Kansas City back when I was like 16 or 17.
Oh, so that's before you came for college.
Yeah, that was before. That was on one of our furloughs. I may have been 14. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But that was fun. That went well, but we went back to Peru. So, and then in the States, I had a couple different offers from colleges elsewhere, but none of them had the degrees that I was wanting to pursue. And I was coming back with the sole intent of, getting a biblical degree so that I would just have that knowledge and be able to take that back to Peru so that I could more effectively share the gospel and disciple people.
So let me ask you this. All right. So we've talked a little bit about you and your background and how did you meet your wife?
I met her at Faith, and it was actually before I started going to Faith. We came back, and so my parents came back on furlough a few months before I was going to go to college. And so I would go to Faith 3-4 times a week just to practice so that I could practice before the season started. And she was actually working at Faith, and I was going in to get water, and I walked right past her and I saw her and I was like, there are pretty girls here.
There are pretty girls here.
I was going from a city of 12 million people to a college of like 200 people. So I had no idea
Faith
what I was
small. Wow. I didn't know Faith was that small.
It's between, when I first went, it was like 200 people. I think it's grown a lot recently. So now it's, I think 300, 350, something like that. So it's been awesome. But yeah, I had no
There are
experience
pretty girls here.
Don't keep repeating that. I'm going to get in trouble. But
so it was love at first sight is what you're saying.
Yes.
Love at only sight, apparently.
I had to chase her because she's a little bit older than I am. So she was actually 2 years ahead of me.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look at you go, bro.
My wife's older than me, man. I feel you on that one.
So yeah, I really had to work to get her to notice me.
And you
All
did.
you had to do was show some of your soccer skills.
She was a volleyball player, so
man,
weren't that appealing to her. Just like, come on, the one thing I'm really good at.
And she's like, nah, I'm good.
This is like the story of all the grass fairies.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I told you that term, and now you use it to abuse me and my friends. Okay. And Twinkle Toes.
Sorry, I had to throw it out there.
But anyway,
that's a throwback to a previous episode we did.
It was. But Joe, do you mind if we go back to your missionary kid in Peru days? Like, this is fine. Something that I'm kind of curious about too. But what was it like growing up in Peru? Like, is it that much different than America? Like, is it third world country or like what?
Yeah, it's very, very different. I mean, first of all, you're talking about, we're right at the top of the Atacama Desert, which is the driest desert in the world. And so there's that major difference. But culturally, it's extremely different. I mean, the people are different. Obviously, the language is different. The food's different. Just life itself. Most people are in most people don't drive themselves to work. They either take taxis or combis. And then just the fact of the city itself, the city is not that massive of like land wise, but there's like 12 million people that are just kind of there on top of each other. So there's hundreds of thousands of people just everywhere. And so like, that's one of the reasons why we're so excited about sports ministry, is that every single one of those 12 million people love sports. Even doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. If you're a guy or a girl, you love soccer and you get into it, especially when your country plays. And so that was one of my ways of witnessing when I was growing up. I'd play with my team, and that was kind of my mission field. And then every day I'd come home, I'd go to school, and then right after that I'd go to the park and play with 20 to 30 other guys. And so that was my barrio, my neighborhood that I'd play with.
So, very nice.
I don't know if that answers everything.
Well, it does.
So like, I've done some missionary work down in Mexico and in Control and Reynosa and stuff like that, and La Capilla. Those were very poor, small communities. Do you deal with a lot of that down where you were at? Was it a lot of poorer communities that didn't have much, that really appreciated what they had? What was the atmosphere like with that?
Yeah. So the majority of people in Lima, especially, are relatively poor. I mean, well, even your middle class in Peru are poor compared to a lot of Americans, but there's an extremely poor class that's pretty much the main part of Peruvians. And then there's been a growing middle class over the last 10, 15 years, which has kind of just come out with this there's been an economic boom over the last 10, 15 years. And so a lot of people have started doing well. And then there's a very small percentage of wealthy Peruvians, but the wealthy Peruvians are like do very, very well.
Yeah.
And so, but like where we were at, our main ministry with my parents in Sol de la Molina is pretty much right in the middle of a middle class area. But just up north a little bit, there's a couple cities, Manchay, and then there's Ceneguía, that are both they're more on the poor side. Manchay itself is definitely lower, where people just kind of live in shacks and then have dirt floors. There's only like one room per family.
Right.
For a whole family.
Okay. So, for our listeners and our viewers, can you put it into terms of like what we see here in the States, Mishawaka, all right? You look at the lower class, middle class, upper class, and can you kind of try to bring it in and compare it to classes of what, I mean, I've seen it firsthand. When you say middle class to me, that is like very poor class to us here down in Mexico. And so is it the same down in Peru?
Yes and no. It's starting to grow. It's been growing a lot. People have been doing a lot better. So you have the middle class is a very big range. So you have people that are middle class that are still very much on the poor side, but then you have people that are in the middle class that are also doing a little bit better.
Okay.
So it's definitely a very big range. More people tend to be towards the lower range, where like you don't have a car to go to work. You have to go and get a taxi or it's called a combi. And it's basically a bus that drives the same route every single day. And so you take that route, and it's, it has probably 12 seats, but it'll fit 25 to 30 people in, because you have people standing up, holding on top. And it's a very perfect place to be pickpocketed.
Yeah. So you're an MK. As a gringo, did you have a hard time fitting in down there?
As a what?
Did they accept you, or was it like...
As a what?
I've been called gringo my entire life.
White boy. Okay. I'm like, man.
He knew exactly what I was talking about. I saw it all over his face.
Yes. I've been called gringo my entire life. Fitting in there, besides being called gringo, not really. I know the language well enough. I actually didn't really learn in school. I just learned on the street. So I speak more like a Peruvian. And so fitting in that way was always it always worked. And then the other thing that really helped me was playing soccer, especially playing with my club. It take maybe a few weeks for them to accept me. But then when I'd go play at my barrio, I was playing at a club level. So I did really well playing in our barrio. So people would accept me like after the first 10 minutes.
Like you might be white, but you can play.
Yeah. So that was easy. But one thing I had a hard time with was coming back to the States. That was always difficult. It was always difficult for me to fit in here. I didn't really understand the culture, the people, and in Peru, you shake hands or so guys shake hands, and then guys greet girls with a kiss on the cheek, girls greet girls with a kiss on the cheek. And so, it's very awkward when you come back to the States and you go up to kiss a girl on the cheek.
They're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff like that, every single time we'd come back, because you'd be used to life in Peru. And so that was hard. I had to leave all my close friends, my teammates there. And so fitting in there wasn't ever really that big of an issue. It was just, I had like reverse culture shock more than anything.
So how often did your family come back on furlough?
So my family, the entire time I was there, we did 4 years in Peru and 1 year in the States.
Okay.
And so that was difficult for many reasons. I mean, 4 years in Peru is a long time to be away from family here. And then 1 year in the States is a really long time to be away from your ministry. And so Kimberly and I, when we were, planning on becoming missionaries, we talked a lot about that. And so we decided with our mission agency that we were going to do 2 years, 6 months. So 2 years in Peru and then 6 months in the States. So it's not too long being away from either one. It's basically the exact same amount of time, just you travel a little bit more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine how hard it is, for your family here and your familia down there, going back and forth and, because they do become family when you're down there and you're with them every day. 2 years, 4 years, you still grow that bond with them. So they do become family.
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
You get your family back here. So I get that.
and for those people who don't know, Joe, is that usual for missionaries to have to come back to the States? Because furlough, it means you come back to raise financial support.
Furlough is
and report back to the sending churches.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Deputation is like where Kimberly and I are at right now. We're in the process of raising our support, visiting churches, visiting people, friends and family, sharing our ministry with them, and asking for ministry partners and for people to partner with us and invest in our ministry. But furlough, a lot of times you do have to do a lot of that, because sometimes people have to stop supporting during times, or sometimes if we have more kids down the line, we'll have to raise more support. And so for kind of all those things, there's travel expenses, and then all that goes into, if you have 2 or 3 kids, there's a lot more travel expenses. So you have to take all that into consideration when you come back. But a lot of it is just going to churches or families that support you and partner with you ministry wise, and just connecting with them and sharing what you've been doing, sharing about stories about people that have come to know the Lord, or how churches are growing, or how the ministry itself is growing. Because as missionaries with Ambassadors Football, our goal is to help these churches, but we also really want to build our own Ambassadors Club team, so that we can be working with these kids on a daily basis, kind of all year round. And so that's one of our goals. And so seeing how that's growing and sharing that with these people when we come back.
And when you mean club team, you mean like actually like a legitimate competitive team?
Yes, that's one of our goals down the line. That'll be, Lord willing, we'll start that in a year or two. But it's one of our dreams, because it'll allow us to coach kids and share the gospel with kids and go through devotionals with our kids that are on our club every single day. We work, Monday through Friday, we would have practice, and then Saturday's games. And so you basically have the entire season, which is like January 7th through December 10th, where you're working with the same kids. And so
That's a season? Whew.
Yeah, you have 1 week off in July. And so,
wow.
So, our goal is to be working with these kids every single day of the year.
Yeah.
And is this sorry, go ahead, Fuller.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, is this a ministry? You said Ambassadors, right? Is that the Which
Ambassadors football.
That's the shirt you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
That's your kit.
That's the
word.
swag.
That's the kit. It's the kit.
Mhm.
Are there other people who are doing this with you, or is this just more of a you and Kimberly spearheaded thing?
No, Ambassadors Football is a mission agency that is doing soccer ministry all over the world. And in Peru right now, we have one full-time missionary, and we have, I think, 7 or 8 volunteers that are there pretty much working full-time as well. But so there's already a team there. We already have multiple ministries that are going. The way I found out about Ambassadors, I was planning on doing sports ministry, more of a thing, just starting something on our own. And a couple years back, my mom wrote me and she was like, hey, you have to connect with this mission agency. They started working at the school where we have our church. And so Ambassadors Football started working at the La Molina Christian School campus. And so that was how we ended up getting connected. So they've been there, I think, 4 years now.
And how much fruit have you guys seen from that so far?
So we have 2 different clinics that we've had, and those run pretty much all through the year, and we'll have, I think, 40 to 50 kids that are there regularly. And so we're seeing these kids that are coming and accepting Jesus, but then also continuing to grow, because a lot of what we do, our goal is to also disciple them so that they can grow. We don't want to just lead them to the Lord and then, leave them at that. Mm-hmm. And so that's been one of our goals. Fruit exactly number-wise, I'm not positive. We were looking at a website, Ambassador's website the other day, and I think there were all over the world in the last year, I think there were 500 conversions through soccer ministry, and it was a ridiculous number, but I think it was like 50,000 people that heard the gospel.
Wow.
But
that's awesome. So what are some of your, as a missionary, you were MK, now you're going into the ministry yourself, so you've seen it. What are some of the biggest challenges you think that in Peru missionaries will face, have you faced, and maybe some stories behind that?
So challenges, this is one of the questions that you had sent. So I actually wrote my dad and asked him
cool.
about that, because he's been there. My dad grew up as an MK too. So my grandfather was a missionary to Peru for 33 years. And then my dad was born there. And now
third generation.
Third generation
awesome.
Missionary. So we're excited about that. But I wrote my dad and asked him a little bit about that, just because I was an MK and everything seemed great for me. So
you're playing soccer, living the dream, man.
Yeah. The challenges that I faced was, kind of what I had shared before, where, it was really hard coming back to the States, or even, after a year, it's really hard saying goodbye to your grandma and grandpa and being like, we may not see you for 2 years, 3 years, and right. So that was definitely challenging. My dad, and I've seen this personally just over the last 6-7 months of raising support, where, one of the things he said was it's difficult to find the balance between, ministry and family life. A lot of times you just get so focused and involved in ministry, and it can take away from family time. And that's been one of the things that I've seen and that I talked with my wife about pretty regularly, because I'm still here, I'm still working. So I have 2 jobs here, and I'm trying to raise support at the same time.
Wow.
And so, a lot of nights I'll spend 2 to 3 hours on phone calls. Like last night, I actually was on the phone for 2.5 hours, but, and that can be difficult because I come home from a 7 to 9 hour day and then, spend that much time. And my dad said it was the same thing. He would go from house to house to house, visiting people, sharing the gospel or knocking on doors or just visiting people from church. And it's very easy to get caught up in that, get caught up in ministries and not take as much time for family. So that's definitely been one of the difficulties. The other thing that he had said was there's so many needs. There's so many different outreaches. There's so many different ways to reach people. And so one of the hard things that he's had with that is, just knowing where God wants us to focus our ministries, focus our attention, what ministries to pursue, which is one of the really exciting things about us going down. My parents are church planting missionaries there. And so my grandfather and my dad have always dreamed of starting a soccer ministry, and the doors just haven't opened until recently. And so now that we're going to be able to go there and partner with that same church plant, with the church planting ministries, but at the same time have a soccer ministry that's working with each of those church plants.
Wow, that's awesome.
You're fulfilling the dream of 3 generations, dude.
Yeah, don't put all the pressure.
Good luck.
We're just praying that God is glorified and that people come to know the Lord. That's our entire goal. We just want to share the gospel and see people come to know him.
So what's your timeline for wanting to be back down in Peru?
So while we've been raising support, we've been praying that we'd be able to raise all our support by the end of this year. We are a little over 20% right now. We actually just had 3 people start supporting us yesterday, and we got 2 or 3 more commitments today. And so two commitments, and then one that is still praying about it. So we're really working towards that. Our goal is to be fully supported by December, so that we can move by March.
Okay.
And so that's what we're praying. We're praying and asking that even through COVID-19, that God would continue to provide. And it's been incredible. It's been absolutely insane. We've been on our knees just praying constantly that God would bring in the support. And even through COVID, we've seen more people be excited about partnering with us in this ministry.
Yeah. So for somebody like me, I've heard missionaries, ask for funds, raising for funds so they can go back down. But what does that cost entail? Like you say you're 20%, like what's the grand total that you have to be able to go? What's that 100% mark?
So 100% for us, which this is different for every missionary. Ours is 5,300, which we have to raise that much money per month. And so that cost entails a ton of different things. A lot of that goes towards the ministry at Ambassadors in Cleveland. A lot of that goes towards the ministry in Peru, so that we can have soccer balls, cones. We've been blessed that we don't actually have to rent a lot of the fields that we've had to use, but a lot of that cost may go into that if we want to start an academy or a club team. And so there's a lot of the percentages goes toward that, and then a lot goes towards moving and traveling expenses as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
So let me ask you this then, Joe. So, because you grew up on the mission field, and then you want to go back. Has Kimberly always been called to be a missionary too? Or is it kind of like, you marry me, this is part of the package? Where does Kimberly come in with all of this?
She definitely knew that this has been what I wanted to do the entire time. That's actually a funny story, because that's all right. We love funny stories.
Oh yeah.
Well, so she never necessarily felt called to missions in Peru herself. But she grew up surrounded by missionaries. Her grandparents were missionaries to Bangladesh for years. And so she grew up, knowing missionaries, knowing the mission life. And her biggest thing was she just always loved to share the gospel and just tell everyone about Jesus. Kimberly loves to talk and loves to be with people, which is why this quarantine has been so difficult for her. She can't be with people. And so that's been one of her biggest things, is just sharing the gospel. And so she's always felt open to that and open to, wherever God led. And then, we met, and she's massively into sports. She is, at Face, she was an All-American volleyball player. And so, which is really cool, because the 2 biggest sports in Peru are volleyball and soccer.
Oh, nice.
So Lord willing, we'll be able to use not just soccer, but also volleyball to reach people. The church that my parents started, the property has a soccer field right next to a volleyball court.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so a lot of times we'll have multiple ministries going on at the same time. And so yeah, just a lot through that. And so we definitely prayed about it a lot, but she's excited and nervous.
And nervous. Yeah.
So you've got this ministry going on. I talk a lot about the support, because I want our listeners and our viewers to understand what it takes for a missionary to get the support to be able to go forth unto all the nations and all the corners of the earth and preach the gospel of Christ. The commandment, the last commandment that Jesus gave to us as believers. How's it going between, are you staying within a certain denomination, the Southern Baptist Convention, or are you, how does that go? Are you able to go to different denominations and talk to people, or is it just individual basis? How does that whole process work?
Yeah. So, Kimberly and I both hold to, or we've grown up as Baptists. And so the majority of churches that we have gone to recently have been Baptist. And so we have to go and we actually have to share our ministry and then ask for people if people would pray about partnering with us, and supporting us in this ministry. As regards to different denominations, my biggest concern is doctrine. And so I read through the doctrinal statement for every single church that I call. And so I try to not be like too specific per like what it is, as long as they're believing in Jesus and
the staples,
I read through every single one, and if they line up with what I personally believe, then I'd love to share my.
Joe, you're saying you're not a name it, claim it guy? Is that what you're saying?
You said, Joe, what?
I said, you're not a name it, claim it guy? That's a joke.
Okay. Sorry. Growing up in Peru, I don't get everything.
Oh, sorry. so
over my head.
Name it, claim it's like, I want a new car. And so I'm praying that I'm getting that car and I'm going to get that car. Name it, claim it.
Prosperity
like
gospel.
It's going to happen just because I want it.
Yeah, I can be, but
it was a joke. It was.
No, you're good. But no, with this ministry. Sorry, what?
Where is it? I don't really have a. I have this. The joke bombed.
There you go.
But anywho, but no, keep going, Joe.
Sorry.
No, with this ministry, we're learning that, we can share, we can share all about it. Yeah. And, if God doesn't work, people aren't going to partner with us. And so we've been really learning to get down on our knees and pray that God would provide it, and so I've been reading this book. It's called The God Ask, and it's incredible. It's been reminding me constantly of that I have to be praying, I have to be begging God to provide these partnerships. I can say anything. I can, go to all these churches and share. But if I'm not praying constantly, if I'm not on my knees begging God to bring in that support, there's nothing I can say that's going to bring it in, and God has to work and God has to do it. And so we've been praying that God would bring it in by the end of this year.
Awesome.
Yeah. And for those listeners who, I would say most of them are at least within Protestant circles that listen. We go to a Southern Baptist church, Fuller and I do, and missions work is completely different with Southern Baptist than what it is like with you, Joe, having to go out and raise your own support. Like Southern Baptist, we have our mission agencies. So a lot of my teens are listening know about the Annie Armstrong Easter offering that we're taking right now, and then the Lottie Moon Christmas offering. And we have mission agency boards that raise money so that way, people like you, your dad, your grandpa never have to leave the field. We send money to the cooperative program. They take the money, give it to the missionaries who need it. That's it. So the missionaries don't have to worry about it. But you got to grind out making calls, visiting churches, and all these different things. So I guess my thinking is what can we do either individually or just as Christians here in America? What can we do to support individual missionaries like you and Kimberly and so many others who are trying to get to the field besides money?
Yeah. Well, honestly, the biggest thing is, just praying for us and praying with us. One of the biggest things that I've been asking each of our ministry partners is that they would pray, not just for us, but that they would pray with us as we pray, so I'll send them what we're praying about, what we're praying for, and so that I mean, you have people from all over the world or all over the States praying for missionaries as they raise support. And then the other thing, you know, I mean, in regards to money, praying that God would just direct your heart or lead your heart to however he wants. You know, if God wants you to partner with someone or invest in a ministry, you know, that way you can be personally involved in a ministry that maybe you're here in the States, but you know, you're supporting a mission that's happening all over the world, you know, like the Great Commission. You know, we're supposed to go to the ends of the world, but not everyone can go to the ends of the world, because we also have to have people that are reaching people in their own communities. And so that's another thing, you know, just sharing and having the boldness and courage to share about Jesus Christ in your own, you know, in your own communities, at your own job. You know, one of the things that I've learned growing up as a missionary is to pray for those opportunities. You know, I've spent years at a Bible college where I could have really never met someone that didn't know, but I spent time praying and just asking and begging God that he would give me opportunities to share the gospel. And it was incredible. You know, I got a job outside of the college, and just through that job alone, I had multiple opportunities to share with guys that I got to know really well. And, you know, I had a couple Bible studies outside of it. And so, yeah, I just encourage people that way as well.
Okay. So Joe, how can someone support you and your family and your ministry? You know, their links, support letter, email chain. How can we get, if our listeners want to partner with you, how can we do that?
Yeah. So through Ambassadors, they've made it really easy, which is really nice. We have a donation link on Ambassadors webpage. So it's donate.ambassadorsfootball.org. And then you can just select, it's Frerichs, J and K. And then that'll take you directly to our donation link. So through that, you can set up like a one-time gift or a monthly reoccurring donation, so that like you could help us get to that 100% mark. And then we also do have our prayer letter, which that isn't necessarily for you wouldn't go there specifically to start donating or to partner with us in ministry, but that way you can see a little bit about our ministry. And we try to send that out every month, just to update about how support is going, prayer requests and all that. And then the other way is we made our own Facebook page. It's called Frerichs Football in Peru. And through that, you can see kind of everything we're doing, the ministries we're involved with in Mishawaka and in Lima. And then there's a donation link on there as well.
Awesome.
Cool. So I'm getting all the links together so that way they'll be in the show notes. But is there a way for them to sign up for the email newsletter easily, or is it more of just like reach out to you on the Facebook page? Or
yeah, reach out to me on the Facebook page, send me an email, jfrerichs@ambassadorsfootball.org, or the Facebook page as well. And I'll just add that to our list. Awesome.
Well, I know we're coming up on time, Joe, and we appreciate having you with us today and sharing your story and where God is leading you and your family. Is there anything else that we may have missed during our conversation here tonight that you want to speak on before we go in there?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. No, sorry if I talk too much.
We love it.
I get really excited about.
Well, that's what this is about, man. We want to hear the stories and what brings you joy and the cool things and connections you have with going out and telling people about Jesus, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, so one thing, I don't know, is there enough time? I had one story.
You have as much time
as
you want.
We've almost hit hour and a half marks, so you're all right.
Okay, so Marc had asked about like a specific story or something where we had seen God work. And so this is I don't know how I left this out, but one of our biggest dreams for this sports ministry is our professional soccer outreach. And this is really just a gift from God, that because of my past playing there, God has brought a lot of people into our lives that have amazing connections. When I was playing at San Martin, there were 14 of my teammates that ended up coming to know the Lord. And out of those 14, there's 6 or 7 of them that are now playing professional soccer in Peru. And so when I went down in December, we had three of them that had all come to accept the Lord.
Wow.
And they were all at the soccer ministry. So we had two of the guys had played against each other in the national final the Sunday before our tournament and our kids camp.
Wow, so, that's awesome.
So those two guys got up and shared their testimonies, and they were from rival teams. And so that was really cool, but they got up, they shared the gospel and what God had done in their lives. And so that's one of the things I'm most excited about is using these connections. And I mean, these are rock stars to kids, Hector Zeta, one of my really close friends, he shared his testimony about how God had completely changed his life from playing before to accepting Christ. That's one of my favorite stories, but I won't get into that. But he got up in front of these kids and he was like, I just played in this final, and we won, but this isn't everything. This doesn't bring true happiness. He was like, you will continue seeking and seeking and seeking for happiness. You won't find it in money. You won't find it in fame, but you will find it in Jesus Christ, and I think we had a couple kids from the school and church, but we had like 15 that were just from that community that came just to meet them.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's just so cool, man.
Thanks. Sorry. I wanted to share.
No, we love it.
That's the stuff we want to hear, man.
See, the problem is you're saying all this stuff and me never meeting you before this podcast, I'm like awestruck and taken back about how God is working in your life and through the ministry. And I see Mark's face. Mark's kind of dumbfounded, like, wow, that's awesome. Like we're both just kind of starstruck, like a little bit.
God's been working in incredible ways, and we're very excited. We still have like 80% left to go, but to break that down, we figured it out just a couple of days ago. If God brought in a couple of days ago, it was 80. Now it's down to 77. But if God brought in 77 new ministry partners at $55 a month, we'd be at 100%.
Wow.
So
wait, say that number again. You said 77 people.
77 new ministry partners at $55 a month. We'd be at 100%.
So here's my challenge to our RTC listeners right now. If you want to partner with Joe, or if you know somebody who might want to partner with Joe, we need 77 people right now, $55 a month to partner with Joe to get him and his family back on the mission field and being used by God as vessels to bring the gospel to those who need to hear it. So I challenge you right now, get a hold of RTC. If you don't remember, Joe's links or anything, we'll get you hooked up. Or if you do remember, get a hold of Joe. So Mark, you got anything to add?
No, I've seen Joe. I've seen you play. So I'm like,
Does he smoke you?
Okay. Can I tell my story? Can I tell my story?
Real quick.
No, I'm asking Joe permission. Can I tell my story? You know where it's going.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, so the first time we played indoor, right? Like, I mean, it was low key, it was fun, it was whatever. Well, the second time we played, we had a bunch of these hot shot high schoolers show up, which I love. I mean, I love playing with high schoolers. There's so much energy. But I kept yelling at Joe. I said, "Prove it to me. I don't believe it. I don't believe it." I was doubting Thomas. I'm like, "Bro, you didn't play semi-professionally. Turn it on." When Joe turned it on, the place I remember the old And1 street ball videos or like Rucker Park where like something would happen and then everyone on the sidelines just went berserk.
Right. Yep.
That's what happened. I mean, people were falling over laughing because Joe was just. I mean, dude, you made me fall on my butt so many times. Like, I mean, it's just like I mean, I can't stop you. So what do? I give you a hug. I give Joe a hug to stop him. I can't do anything.
So Mark is very competitive. So I'm glad that God used you to serve him some humble pie.
It was funny because he kept saying that. And, I just want to play to have fun a lot of times, and so I was just playing, just having fun. And he was like, prove it to me. I was like, okay. And I'm so out of shape, so it didn't last long. But he came onto the field after that and he was like, okay, you can turn it off right now. I was like, no, you did this. You asked for it. You're going to get it.
I had a couple
Joe.
shiny moments against Joe, though. I've had a couple shiny moments, but
Yeah,
not
you
many.
definitely have.
Not many.
Joe, you've made my year by this story being told and by you turning it on him and making him
It was
fall on his butt.
legit.
Thanks. I'm glad someone enjoyed it.
Yes, and I'm sure all of our listeners will enjoy that story now.
But I will say, ever since you turned it on, dude, we've had so many other people show up to play because they know it's legit competitive soccer, and that many more people have either just heard a small message of, hey, you know, God loves you, God's for you, conversations on the sidelines. A lot of cool things have happened because of a little.
Uh-oh.
Because of one of these things, dude. Hey, I have a little soccer ball and it's a Missionary soccer ball because that's the official soccer ball of Scotland. See, there you go. But so it's like because and my little goal is right back there behind me.
There you go.
But because of a little soccer ball, people are coming to know Jesus. Like, I think that's just the absolute coolest thing in the world, bro. So
did you hear there were 80 guys that went to the second day of our tournament that we had?
Wait, what?
Yeah, we had 80 people. I had like 55 people that went to play, and then all the families, friends, and then
like the one at Mishawaka?
Yeah, the tournament that we had.
Yeah, the one that I had to bail on because I had to do something
there were
with my
like
kids.
73, 74 the first day, and then 80 something the second day.
Wow, that's awesome.
Sports ministry is that, man.
Blessing.
I studied it at Northland, so it's the golden ticket, man. I love it. Well, Joe, I just want to say thank you for hanging out with us, man. We appreciate you like none other, man.
Dios te bendiga, hermano.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
What?
Mark's like, what? I said, Dios te bendiga, hermano.
Solo le dije gracias. Eso es muy fácil de entender. I just said thank you. I said that's really easy to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that, which I know like that's sign language for thank you.
I'm just saying I understood him. What's up, Mark?
I am as white as white.
Especially with that reflecting light.
Like Jesus washes you as white as Mark. Like that's not Mark's skin tone. Mark's skin tone. That's more so what it is. But so anywho, so again, this will all be in the show notes. We'll have Joe's Facebook page, plus the ambassador link to donate. Again, 77 people. If they do 55, screw it. If you give $60,
yeah,
we can get there a lot quicker.
It's 75. We're just gonna.
There you go. We'll just keep getting that number down.
Round number 100.
75 people at $75 a month. That'll make it easy.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But see, here's the deal, though, Joe. Before we let you go, we want to bless you. And we always bless our guests because we do something at the end of every podcast called Fun Facts with Fuller.
We do.
And this is just a random, stupid thing we started in episode 1. I don't remember how it started, but we have gone through almost, by this episode, maybe 44 fun facts with Fuller.
Oh, wow.
It's been insane.
We have.
But so, Fuller, do you have I don't know why I always ask, but do you have a fun fact to bless us and our listeners? I don't know this one. I didn't look.
And this is a good one, especially for Joe, because he's out on the mission field. He may need this, okay? So, Joe and Mark, did you know that ketchup was sold as medicine back in the 1830s?
What?
Fun fact. Ketchup, you know, the little red stuff you put on hot dogs?
Yeah.
Was sold as medicine back in the 1830s.
That makes no sense.
You're saying my 2-year-old's going to be really, really healthy.
There you go.
How do you defeat COVID?
COVID-19 has nothing on the ketchup.
Yep.
Nothing on the ketchup,
See,
man.
my kids don't eat ketchup, man. It's all about the ranch.
See, your kids are in trouble, man.
He puts ranch on everything. I haven't converted him to Chick-fil-A sauce yet. But so long story short.
That's the next step to holiness.
So long story short, if you want to defeat COVID and make sure you stay healthy, just drink Heinz. Drink Heinz. Well, hey, just like always, guys, we are so thankful for everyone out in listener land. So make sure you hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or email at realtalkchristianpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love for you to leave us a review. Hey, just like Fuller always says, you leave us a review on Apple iTunes or... No, that's it. If you leave us a review on Apple iTunes, we will make sure we send you a mini swag bag in the mail, fresh off the presses, no COVID. We won't send you that. We share Jesus, not germs here. But Joe, I just want to say thank you again for joining us, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was an amazing opportunity to share. Thank you.
Well, hey guys, until next time,
take it easy.
Thank you for listening to Real Talk Christian. To help get our podcast into the ears of other people who need to hear these conversations, we would love for you to leave us a review on Apple Podcast or Google Podcast. To keep the conversations going, feel free to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and share our content with others. See you next time.
But what is it like as soon-to-be missionary wife with how busy Joe is with trying to raise support, get on the field, and travel? Like, what is it like from your perspective?
Well, today was not a great example. Today, because any free time he has, he's like, I gotta go call someone. I gotta go, because he sees that free time as so we're trying to balance that, getting a better.
What I had shared about earlier.
Yeah.
Like today is a family day, and I need, you know what I mean? Because it's easy to work all the time when you have access to work all the time. And so, and you can, especially with today's technology and, and especially since we haven't been going to churches with this whole shutdown thing,
right.
Easier to do. Like, oh yeah, quick, I'll jump on right now for this. But sometimes it breaks up. I'm trying to get him to promise me a day that we're going to have that is family day. But
we're figuring out like 2 family nights or something. Because right now, like to call people most of the time, it's like anytime after 6:30 or 7.
Which can be hard. It makes dinner feel rushed and stuff. But I do think we're kind of in a different situation with the fact that he grew up where we are going. Our unique. Luckily, his mom went through that. His dad, grew up there as well, and so she has kind of walked through this before. And that is also why we moved back here. So we're close to my family when we're here, and we're with his family. So
how long have y'all been married?
4 years.
Almost
this July.
4 years,
4 years. So Joe, my advice to you as a fellow married man is carve out one night a week to spend solely with your wife. Don't do any phone calls. Just be with your family, because you got to remember how it goes. It goes to God, our relationship with God, our ministry to our family, and then our ministry to others. So make sure you keep that in the forethought of your mind, that your family is also your ministry too, to make sure you take care of them.
And coming
That's
from a
something
pastor,
I've
that's
struggled
impossible,
with.
Man, that's a struggle.
I've struggled with it myself. So I'm just saying, learn from my mistakes.
Yeah, you're thinking God, and then you're like, ministry goes in the same with that. But it's your family is a big
right. Yeah, your family is part of your ministry, and so you have an obligation to them as well. So make sure you take care of your wife and your daughter.
You're getting lectured,
just
bro.
Carve out. No, it's don't make the same mistakes I've made.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give you some brotherly advice here of
From
just make sure one night a week, and just, it doesn't have to be all day, just a night, say 5:00, phone goes off, not making phone calls. And I'm going to spend this night with my family. That's my advice for you guys.
When we can go somewhere again.
Yeah.
Hey, you can Netflix and chill.
I don't think they want another kid before they go to Peru, bro.
Well,
Get down to the field.
Maybe not. Maybe it'll help raise more money.
Or cost more money with all that ketchup those people eat.
The ketchup,
Jeez. But so since you're here too, Kimberly, is there anything that we can pray specifically with you? We asked Joe, but
I think, when I go down to Peru, it's going to be language. And then it's also just, the overall hardness of I will be leaving my family here, and all of my siblings just had kids, and so it's just they're all really close. So that's all going to be really hard for me to go down there. And I do feel a little bit, when I was down there, I've only ever been there for a month total.
You were there. I think it's a
month
it's been
total,
2
but
weeks.
2 separate times.
You've been there 3 times though now, right?
No, twice.
Oh, okay.
So, and then there was always culture shock every time, but this time I'll be learning the language. So I think as I learn the language a little more, it will be less of that culture shock.
Yeah.
So in a little bit, I struggle a bit with, I think I will lose some freedom down there, and the fact that here I can just jump in the car and go to Target, but it's just, you
want to be a little bit more
safer
careful
down there, stuff like that. So
just because of color of skin, you become more of a target.
Right.
So
we're very easily
they associate Americans with wealth.
So,
yep.
But,
some of the nicest people, but at the same time, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. So, I'm just nervous about all of that stuff, and just that big change. Especially we're trying to get my citizenship that first time, so we're looking to stay for 2 years. Because since he is Peruvian and I'm married to him, I can get citizenship if I stay for a 2-year time period. So
Right.
That's a little stressful and claustrophobic to me, but
when you go as an American, you have to go and get a visa, and a lot of times that visa only lasts 6 years or 6 months to 2 years.
Right.
Every time it expires, you have to leave the country. Literally, just you could take 2 steps out and then back in, but you just have to leave the country and then come back in so you can stamp it, getting a new visa. But my dad was born in Peru, and so my entire family has citizenship. So I pass that directly to Sadie, so I can take her to like the Peruvian embassy just with papers and all that, and get her I can get her Peruvian papers, but Kimberly has to actually live there because she married and she has to live there for 2 years.
Okay.
Prove I'm committed.
So do you lose your American citizenship then? No? Okay, cool.
You will. It'll be kind of cool.
Peru is one that the U.S. will still do a citizenship with.
No, that's cool.
Okay, cool.
There's many countries that they don't do that with. So if you give up your citizenship to become American, you lose your citizenship for another country. But with Peru,
they're just chill.
I have 2 different ID cards. I have 2 different passports.
Right, the dual citizenship.
I have because of all of his older passports, since he's been getting them since he was a baby. He has 7 or 8 passports just in our safe, and I'm like, man, you seem like a spy.
Everyone is just you growing up.
Exactly.
So it's really funny.
Every spy has their go bag.
I know. Yeah. So, no, we joked about that recently. I was like, no, you can keep your chill.
I'm too awkward to be.
You don't have to worry if he's got a duffel bag under the floorboard with $10,000 cash, 10 passports, and a handgun, and then you know he's a spy.
Why you have that many soccer balls? Is it?
I have
It's okay. My soccer goes back there. I feel you, Joe.
4 years for the World Cup, my parents have had me do something where I'll memorize an entire passage of scripture, like the Gettysburg Address or something like that. And once I do it, I get the official World Cup soccer ball.
Oh, wow.
No, I have 5. But each one of those, they only sell for a 6-month period. And so people like me who collect them will spend, I need one more from the World Cup that was in my lifetime. So the 1998, which they didn't spend, $150, $180 for a soccer ball when I was 4. And so
you get the legitimate official.
Yeah. So
they are on our wall.
The cheapest I can find right now is $1,200.
Bro, please send me a picture of that, Joe.
We will.
That is amazing.